When designing enclosures, one particular CAD skill you'll have to get comfortable with is creating perfect cutouts for your interior parts from your product. For example, here we're going to have to access this slide switch, so we'll need to make the perfect cutout for that. And we also have our battery charger here that we'll have to access. In certain cases, it may be an SD card, or it could be a multitude of things that you have to create cutouts for. So let's look at some examples in tackling this. In particular, it's a little different when you have a curved shape rather than just accessing from the top when you have a flat shape. So let's start with the slide switch. I'm going to remove the top part here, and I'm going to create an offset plane first on this face and pull it out, and then use that to create our sketch. So let's go to construct and then down to offset plane, and we're going to create a plane that's going to be parallel to this face here. So I'm going to select it, and I'm going to take that arrow and I'm just going to drag it up just a little bit so it's in front of that switch. We don't see it, so we have to make sure to turn on our construction folder here. So now we see it. So the dimension is not critical, just get it in the front there, and then we'll click OK. Next, we'll go to Create Sketch, and we'll sketch right on that plane. So be careful to select it. And we're just going to bring in projected geometry from this outline. So let's remove everything, all these components besides our bodies here, and we just need to see that bottom portion of that enclosure. And we're going to click P, or hit P on our keyboard for project, and we're going to use the specified entities option here, and we're just going to zoom in so you get a clear view, and just select the edges. Be careful here, you kind of have to have a steady hand because we don't want to select the entire face here. I just want to go in and select just these highlighted edges. It says that its object is not visible, so we have to turn on sketches. And just make sure if you expand your sketches that only the current one is turned on. So now we'll be careful to select just these 3 edges here, and I'm going to click OK. Now I can remove the bodies, and I have that profile. I'm going to go to Sketch, down to Offset, and we'll offset this. We're going to give it an offset of just 0.2 millimeters, and we're going to have to go negative on that because it went inside. So we'll do negative 0.2, and I'm going to click OK. Now that 0.2, that works great on my printer as an offset. You may have to play around with that. I think it's a good place to start. It gives me just the perfect offset on mine that you can sometimes barely tell there's a gap in there while still allowing for a perfect fit. Now I'm going to double click that inner profile and hit X to turn those 3 lines to a construction line. And then I'm going to hit the L button for line and zoom in. I'm going to snap to the outside line that I created that we offsetted, and I'm going to make sure I connect to the other outside line, and that should give me an enclosed highlighted profile. Okay, now I can click on Stop Sketch. I'm going to bring in bodies, and so I only need to see top now because that's the one I want to cut through. I'm going to take this profile, E for extrude, and I'm going to extrude this right through. We'll select distance, and we'll go to Object, and for our object I'm going to select the inside of that enclosure. Make sure operation is set to cut, and we'll click OK. Alright, now when I bring back the bottom, and let's bring back the slide switch, if we take a look at it, we can see that that's a perfect match here. We can see our gap there that we created from our offset. So let's take a direct look by going to Look At, and we'll click on this face here. It'll flip it upside down, but that's all right. And we can see our consistent 0.2 millimeter offset that we did there. Okay, let's go back to a home view. I'll turn everything back on. And next we'll do a similar thing with the battery charger.